So Blake Lively dropped her amended complaint at the midnight hour last night, and you are not going to believe how deranged it actually is.
So that's kind of the broad strokes of everything. Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times.
While Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni.
Justin Baldoni's lawyers speak out after this late night Blake Lively amended complaint comes out.
The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken a dramatic turn, with new revelations exposing alleged lies and inconsistencies in Blake's claims. As Baldoni's team fires back with evidence and legal filings, the public is now questioning whether Blake straight up lied in her lawsuit. The ongoing saga, which began as a workplace dispute, has spiraled into a full-blown legal war, dragging in public figures, media outlets, and countless fans watching from the sidelines.
What we were looking at was Blake Lively's points, like 15 points, that she wanted Baldoni to agree to in order for her to return to set. And each of those points implicated that potentially she had faced sexual harassment at the hands of Baldoni and others while on the set of It Ends With Us. And so Baldoni said that basically his back was against the wall. He had to accept those conditions, that he denied and still denies that there was any sexual harassment to back up the underlying allegations that's implicit in these conditions.
Baldoni's legal team has been relentless, releasing timelines, witness statements, and previously unseen footage to counter Blake's accusations. Meanwhile, Blake's attempts to control the narrative seem to be unraveling as more shocking contradictions emerge. With the stakes higher than ever, it's becoming clear that this isn't just about legal claims. It's a battle for public trust, professional reputations, and possibly millions of dollars. So what's the truth behind the headlines, and how did Blake's story begin to fall apart? Let's dive into the latest jaw-dropping developments.
In Baldoni's almost 200-page complaint against Lively and Reynolds, his lawyer writes, quote, "During the pre-production phase, Lively and Reynolds raised entirely false allegations of fat-shaming against Baldoni, an accusation that, as evidence will show, was categorically false. Baldoni had been introduced to trainer Dawn, who became Baldoni's personal trainer, by Lively. Dawn directed Baldoni's preparation for the film role, including his nutrition and exercise, making special accommodations for Baldoni's back injury. Baldoni even paid to receive Dawn's meal delivery service."
The drama escalated when Blake filed an amended lawsuit with new allegations against Baldoni. However, Baldoni's legal team wasted no time dismantling it. His attorney unleashed a scathing response, calling the claims misleading and accusing Blake of fabricating details to strengthen her case. The team pointed out discrepancies between Blake's initial statements and her new allegations, suggesting she intentionally altered her account to sway public opinion. This aggressive legal response sent shockwaves through both camps, signaling that Baldoni had no intention of settling quietly.
So Blake Lively dropped her amended complaint at the midnight hour last night, and you are not going to believe how deranged it actually is. Guys, I have been combing over the lawsuit, and there's just so much. It's so, honestly, it's written as badly as that rooftop scene, that her and Ryan Reynolds decided to take a stab at. But before I get into that, and because there's a lot to go through, and I may do some of it in subsequent videos because it's just too much. If you hear my dog, just ignore it. But Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, has made a response to this amended lawsuit. So I want to get into that. But not only has he responded, but so has her attorney. So it says Justin Baldoni's lawyers slam Blake Lively's claim he made other women uncomfortable on set.
One of Blake's most significant accusations centered on a lack of consent during specific filming scenes. However, Baldoni's team responded by releasing a comprehensive timeline of communications and production notes that they claim completely refute those claims. The timeline includes emails, signed agreements, and on-set footage indicating that Blake had approved scenes she later alleged were problematic. Legal experts note that if the evidence holds up in court, it could seriously undermine Blake's credibility.
In direct response to the public lies Lively shamelessly presented in her complaint, the video directly contradicts Lively's depiction of Baldoni's behavior. The footage shows Lively and Baldoni in character, along with their bodies, simultaneously engaging in a personal conversation about their respective marriages, all while continuing to perform their roles as a couple deeply in love. So she made it seem as though he must not have been in character because he was talking in first person about his family while also kissing and noodling on me and grabbing my lips and all of that. But the truth was, even though they weren't going to use the audio, they had the audio because they were recording him, as they tend to do.
In addition to contesting the lawsuit in court, Baldoni's team has also taken aim at Blake's media narrative. They accuse her of launching a coordinated PR campaign to sway public opinion, using selective leaks and sympathetic interviews to paint herself as a victim. This accusation gained traction when several media outlets began highlighting the inconsistencies between Blake's public statements and the official court documents.
So that's kind of the broad strokes of everything. Blake Lively sued Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni sued the New York Times. The New York Times printed an article about it. I believe he also sued Samantha Jones. There's a whole bunch of different people being sued. We are only in a part of the second lawsuit. But as far as the update is concerned, Blake Lively has filed an amended complaint, and that broke 5 hours ago. We will just briefly use the People magazine article. Every single time I go to any news source.
Perhaps the most damning blow came with new filings that exposed multiple contradictions in Blake's sworn statements. Baldoni's lawyers pointed to specific instances where Blake's deposition clashed with video evidence and third-party testimonies. In one case, Blake claimed to have expressed discomfort during a particular scene, but production logs show no such complaint was filed at the time. These revelations have sparked widespread debate over whether Blake intentionally misled the court or if her team is simply scrambling to adjust their narrative under pressure.
Here's a question for all of the lawyers out there, or legal scholars. I am one of those. Perez Hilton here. And if somebody lies in their legal complaint, is that illegal? Because in his lawsuit against Taylor Swift's bestie and her husband Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni alleges that Blake Lively boldly lied, repeatedly. But we will talk about one instance that has many ripples and proof. Justin Baldoni seemingly has a lot of evidence to back up his claims. If you remember, one of the very first stories that came out of the whole It Ends With Us drama.
In a surprising move, Blake's team shifted focus to an alleged fixer working with Baldoni. Her latest legal filing accuses this individual of interfering with potential witnesses and attempting to discredit her claims behind the scenes. However, Baldoni's representatives have dismissed these allegations as baseless and desperate tactics. This back and forth only highlights how deeply personal and complex the legal battle has become.
They also retained subcontractors, including Mr. Wallace, who weaponized the digital army around the country, including New York and Los Angeles, to create, seed, manipulate, and advance disparaging content that appeared to be authentic on social media platforms and internet chat forums. The Baldoni Wayfarer team would then feed pieces of this manufactured content to unwitting reporters, making content go viral in order to influence public opinion. Now that is the subject of a lot of criticism that you see people getting in the comments. They'll come and be like, how much are you being paid by Justin and stuff like that. So, all right. Hey, Sheeps, how's it going? Hey, everybody. Alright. On information and belief, TAG engaged Mr. Wallace to assist them in their unlawful retaliatory social combat campaign on behalf of Wayfair and Mr. Baldoni.
Initially, Blake's lawsuit garnered significant public sympathy. However, as more evidence surfaces contradicting her claims, that support appears to be eroding. Social media users have expressed frustration with the inconsistencies and accused Blake of manipulating the narrative. Public relations experts note that once credibility is questioned, it's extremely difficult to recover, especially in high-profile cases like this.
While Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni. Now, while Blake will label that as yet another threat of retaliation by Brian Friedman, I'd say he's just doing his job really well. And why are they being so aggressive? Beyond obviously wanting the truth out, what is causing it all? Could this actually be a cultural misunderstanding? That's what the Hollywood Reporter put out today in their cover story. And I gotta be honest, it's a very neutral and interesting piece. We gotta discuss. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. If you guys haven't read today's Hollywood Reporter cover story, I urge you to check it out. Yeah, it's a little bit more pro-Blake than I think the reality is, but it is more neutral than most Hollywood trade pieces I've seen because Blake's been unable to provide anything realistic. She thinks she has it all, but sources are saying that no, she does not. There's so much more that Baldoni and Friedman have on Lively. They just gave a taste on the website. They're showing a little ankle, but not the whole leg, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she wouldn't approve of that reference, too sexist. The reason? Friedman is going to annihilate Lively on the stand during depositions. She thinks she knows what they have, everything that's on the website, so she can prepare for that, but she can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have, and again, they have a lot. According to the sources, they have troves more of stuff that has not been seen publicly, emails, text calls, videos.
While Blake alleged that multiple women were uncomfortable working with Baldoni, his legal team presented counterstatements from several female crew members denying those claims. In fact, some expressed frustration over Blake using their names without consent, accusing her of fabricating a broader narrative that didn't reflect reality. This revelation has further damaged Blake's credibility and raised questions about the integrity of her allegations.
Well, Justin Baldoni's lawyers speak out after this late night Blake Lively amended complaint comes out, and woo, they got some things to say.
PASCAL, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
What's up? Yes, Blake Lively, if you've been living under a rock or living in a cave over the past 48 hours or so, Blake Lively did come out with a amended complaint. It came out very, very late at night, okay, but it still came out nonetheless. And a lot of people are scratching their heads going, okay, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where is the smoking gun, whatever you want to call it, proof that's going to bury Justin Baldoni?
Lawyers following the case warn that Blake's alleged lies could have severe legal consequences. Perjury charges are rare in civil cases, but not impossible, especially when contradictions are this glaring. If the court determines she deliberately misled the judge, Blake could face financial penalties, reputational damage, and even countersuits from Baldoni seeking damages.
That's a fair summation of it. So the book itself is about domestic violence, right? And so the original Baldoni idea was to take this to support folks who are actually dealing with these issues, right? The true victims who have been in these situations, make this book, make this movie, bring on a star of incredible quality. They felt so lucky to be able to get a star of Blake Lively's, height and fame and voice to be able to be a part of it.
I don't know. I saw The Shallows. I know she unzipped that wetsuit.
Right.
Remember that was one of those things. The wetsuit, just like, this is how I wear my wetsuit. I don't have time to zip it up to the top.
I mean, I feel like there was times where essentially when she was taking control of this movie, rewriting, doing all these things, eventually did her own edit where she just pushed Baldoni out entirely.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are getting paid? Yeah.
Yeah, the pedophile Baloo sketch was very uncomfortable. A little bit. Yeah, but we went in and they're like, well, you'll be Tim, you'll be straddling Baloo. I'm Baloo.
I said it. You're fucking kidding me.
I was like, can you get tool man at like a board? Because it's green. Like he can just sit right next to me. He doesn't actually have to be sitting on Baloo.
Yeah, that's coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I just want Bernie Sanders to be the intimacy coordinator for a remake of the piano penis playing.
Touch her tit!
Wait, what?
Flick it, they like it! Not a ham radio!
Adding fuel to the fire, media personalities have drawn parallels between Blake's situation and other celebrity scandals involving misleading claims. One commentator noted that public figures who double down on shaky allegations often end up worse off in the court of public opinion. This comparison has only amplified the narrative that Blake may be digging herself into a deeper hole.
Really been targeted in similar campaigns. I've done both. I think that when you're targeted, I mean, especially when Tucker Carlson was coming after me and and again, people were running ads against me, doing all this crazy stuff. The media company I was working for at the time, which was the New York Times, would never let me respond. And this is part of why I left mainstream media, is because these media companies don't let you respond and they sort of want to ignore it. And when you don't respond forcefully immediately, you create this vacuum that allows these bad narratives about you to thrive unchecked. And nobody thinks, wow, she's not responding, so that means it's not true. They think she's not responding, so that means it's true. One time, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue of Fantastic Disinformation Center put together this massive report on actually the network sort of coordinated harassment campaign that I had been subject to. This was years ago. And they found it was paid for.
With the lawsuit spiraling out of control, both sides face immense pressure to settle. However, insiders suggest Baldoni is determined to clear his name publicly, making a courtroom showdown increasingly likely. If the case proceeds to trial, it could be devastating for Blake if her alleged lies are proven before a jury.
Blake Lively's new allegations against Justin Baldoni are missing one critical thing: cold hard proof. He did her wrong. At least that's how Justin's attorney is reading the documents. Brian Friedman, power attorney, tells TMZ, aka the 30-mile zone, he found Blake's amended lawsuit filed late Tuesday night underwhelming when it comes to any new facts or anything damning against his client. Yeah, Blake filed that lawsuit like she was in Cinderella, right? She had one heel off, she's running, who were uncomfortable with Justin's behavior. Reported that to an executive at Sony, which distributed the film. Blake says those two women, unnamed, are willing to share documents and testify in court. Well, why won't they even share the screen grabs with the redactions? Friedman doesn't seem the least bit worried, telling us, since documents do not lie, and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. I tell you what, speaking of poker, Brian Friedman plays a hell of a hand.
Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni has reached a critical tipping point. With mounting evidence, exposed contradictions, and public opinion shifting, Blake's initial narrative is crumbling under scrutiny. Baldoni's team has been relentless, releasing documents and testimonies that suggest Blake may have straight up lied to both the media and the court. What started as a workplace dispute has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of public litigation, especially when the facts don't align with the story being sold. While Blake's team scrambles to contain the fallout, Baldoni seems more emboldened than ever, determined to fight for his reputation regardless of the cost.
I am very much in Team Justin's camp. I didn't know anything about Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds before this. I didn't even know much about Taylor Swift. I surely didn't know anything about this movie, It Ends With Us, or Justin Baldoni. I have no skin in the game. I'm not a fan of any person, okay? I can support or like something that someone does, but I'm grown. I'm 43. I don't have energy or time to be any other human being's fan. Okay, so what I do is I look at the evidence, I look at the behavior, I'm going back and gathering receipts, and when I start to put all that together, well, I form an opinion, and that opinion is that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are full of shite.
The question now isn't just who's telling the truth, it's whether Blake can recover from the growing perception that she's been less than honest. With millions at stake and careers hanging in the balance, the final act of this drama promises to be explosive. Stay tuned, things are only getting started.